Hey guys, how you doing? So this one right here is the Motorola Edge 50 Neo. In my opinion, one of the best smartphones that you can get under 500 euros. So today we will take a look at everything this phone has to offer, and first up, the unboxing. Like with some of the other Motorola smartphone boxes, this one too comes with the Motorola perfume, and me and my girlfriend, we really like that smell. Now the first thing that you will see is that little package with some of the paper stuff. We got an energy label, SIM pin, and a USB Type-C charging cable. What I also really like is that we already get a plastic case, which comes in the same color as a smartphone, and this one seems to be pretty sturdy. As well as all the way at the bottom, we will get the Motorola Edge 50 Neo, and I got it in this latte version, but you can also grab it in the colors blue, red, and black. Okay, let's get over to the specs and the design. All the four colors come with the same vegan leather backside, which is giving this phone a nice haptic, and it also don't slip out of your hands that easy if you're not using a case. On the top right corner we get a triple cam setup with a 50 megapixel main camera. There's a 10 megapixel telephoto and a 13 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, but we will talk about them later on in the video. Just like on the Moto G75, 35 and 55, these cameras don't sit on an extra element, and that means that you can't get any dust in between the lenses. And if you take a look at it from the side, you will see that the camera also don't stick out that much, and this phone basically doesn't wiggle around if you put it flat on its backside. Now on the Edge 50 Neo we have a polished plastic frame on which you definitely see some of your fingerprints. It's not that bad on this latte version, but it's probably a little bit worse on the black version. So this phone has a medium-sized 6.4-inch LTPO OLED Gorilla Glass 3 display with an insane peak brightness of 3000 nits. You're not gonna see that on a lot of smartphones in that price range, if at all. The Moto 50 Neo has a HDR10 Plus resolution and a 120Hz display. By default it is set to auto, but you can also set it to 120 or just to 60Hz. You have a screen to body ratio of around 91%, which is great, and like this you will barely see the black bezels around the display. Now watching movies or just some YouTube clips on this phone is amazing. You got vivid colors, you can watch stuff in direct sunlight since you got 3000 nits max brightness. The contrast looks great, and overall the display is great for that price point. Like with all Motorola smartphones, you will get some additional display settings, like you can change the display color to vivid, natural or radiant, and you can also adjust the color temperature. There's a night light which tints the screen amber, so it's basically the blue filter of this phone. You even have a flicker prevention feature to keep the screen from flickering in dark places. Lastly, you got some different screensavers which you can also customize a little bit. You got the normal clock, you can use some of your photos, or you got the colors screensaver. As for the audio, we got a set of stereo speakers with a decent loudness, but a good quality even at the max volume. We have no 3.5mm headphone jack, but therefore we got Dolby Atmos with some presets for the audio. You got an equalizer and Crystal Talk AI, which reduces the background noise for some calls. Next, we got a battery life, and we will get a pretty small 4310 mAh battery inside. Motorola normally goes with 5000 mAh batteries, but even this one will last you for 34 hours on normal usage. You can play games continuously for 7 hours, or you can watch YouTube movies for 20 hours. Unlike last year, there's no extra charger included in the box, but with its 68 watts fast charging, this phone goes from 0 to 80% in just half an hour, and a full charge will take about 45 minutes. There's also 15 watts wireless charging, but no reverse wireless charging. As for the features, you first need to know that Moto promises up to 5 years of OS updates and also 5 years of security updates. The Moto Edge 50 Neo also has a fingerprint sensor underneath your display, and this one works just fine, just like the face detection. Over here in Germany, you can get this phone with 512 gigs of internal storage and 12 gigs of RAM, and if you take a peek into the storage settings, about 29 gigs are already used up by the system, which is actually quite a lot. By default, you will get a few pre-installed apps like Timo, Raid, Block Blaster, and a few more, but gladly we can get quickly rid of them and deinstall them in seconds. With this smartphone, you will get the usual Android experience with a few extra Moto apps slapped on top of it. In the Moto app, you can do different things, like you can personalize your display, you can change the icons and the grid layout over there. You will get some gesture controls, an attentive display which prevents the screen from dimming or going to sleep while you're looking at it. You have the Moto Secure or Smart Connect, which lets you connect your phone to any other device at home, either via Bluetooth, or you can also use a cable if you want to. The Moto Unplug feature is pretty cool as well, as this one disconnects you from the virtual world of your smartphone, and you can only use a few chosen apps for a certain time span, or you can end the session if you type in the password. Up to the performance and the gaming. And the Moto Edge 50 Neo runs on the MediaTek Dimensity 7300 chipset, which is a slight upgrade to the older Edge 40 Neo, but it's still a mid-tier. The overall user experience is smooth and you can even do some gaming. However, you will occasionally run into some lags like in the camera app. It does take a second if you jump from one camera mode to another one, or even if you just open up the app. On this phone you will get a game turbo with a turbo mode, a balanced and a battery saving mode. You can adjust the volume and brightness, block calls and notifications, and even check the Wi-Fi latency. Now over to the camera. Now the Moto Edge 50 Neo has a 50 megapixel main camera with optical image stabilization. You will get a 10 megapixel telephoto and a 13 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. And you can shoot 4K videos with 30 FPS. Now on the front you will get a 32 megapixel camera, which can also shoot videos in 4K and 30 FPS. Then you will get a few camera modes, like you got slow motion, you can take macro shots, portrait and pro mode, you got night vision, ultra res and many more. As for the pictures themselves, I actually love them. During the day the main camera delivers sharp and detailed photos with vibrant colors, and the dynamic range is more than good enough. The image processing was not very consistent and sometimes produced some over contrasty images with deep shadows. In low light conditions, the camera triggers the night mode automatically, and shots from the main camera have good sharpness and detail. The telephoto camera is doing a pretty good job as well, even though you will get less detail than with the main camera. The ultra wide angle camera is doing a decent job during the day with an okayish amount of detail. The quality is similar to the quality that you get from other cameras in that price range. Since this camera has autofocus, this camera can take macro shots and the results are pretty good. By the way, I've tested some more Motorola smartphones in separate videos. Just click right here to get to those videos.